So welcome back to part 2 of the IBC tank conversion series of Chazkoi. Today I'm going to cut the top off the container and give it a good clean out, and then get it ready to keep some fish in. So enjoy. So one thing I'm going to need before we start, no, not the seagulls, I need myself a special little helper. So here we go with, hi Ems. Right, so what I've decided to do is not lower the height of the top. It does sit a bit higher than I wanted to, but I want to keep maximum water volume in it for the time being, and I can always lower it at a later stage if I want to. So I need to just remove these bars, which are just fitted with this little Allen key here, so that should come off nice and easily. I'm then going to draw a line probably just after the bend in the top, just so that the curve of the tank just keeps a bit of the rigidity to the structure. Going to cut holes in the corner with a hole cutter to make nice smooth edges, and then cut it out with a jigsaw, and then we should be ready to give it a clean. So off we go. So got my Allen key bit, so literally in there, nice and easy. And this one, yeah, nice and easy around this side. For this one, Ems. And last but not least, here. There we go. So I'm going to have to give these a bit of a wiggle to get them out.
I think that one's there under something.
Oh,
oh.
Hang on. Get rid of these screws. So give these a bit of a wiggle. These are going to be a little bit awkward to get out. There's one. There's the other one. Got a little lip, you need to get little holes to get through there. And they're out. So now, perfect, we can now mark up the top of this and get the jigsaw out. Right, so what I'm going to do to mark up the lid, and this is another thing I saw on some guy doing on YouTube. Got a bit of wood here, lay it across the top, and give me a straight edge then of the top of the cage by which to draw my cut line. So, got myself a nice permanent marker pen, Sharpie. Doesn't need to be exact, it's only the rough edge.
That side.
Draw to the edge there, I think that's about right. And again, I'm erring on the side of caution here, so that I can always cut more off if I need to, rather than cut off too much and wish I'd done it thinner. But oh, it's going a bit deep there. So yeah, I won't need to show you me marking all this up. I'll get my hole saw out and my jigsaw in a minute, and we'll cut this bad boy open. Right, so I made a slight change as well. I'm going to cut the line. Initially I was going to cut along this line here to give me a nice lip, but then I thought, I'm going to be putting some edging on the top, which is going to be some decking boards, probably this sort of size. And when I looked, it was just going to be too far in to cover that up. By the time I've put the cladding on the outside, it's not going to line up. So I've drawn another line just slightly further out, so if that lines up, just gives me a little bit more room for some edging here to attach this board into. I mean, I can always, it doesn't matter if it overhangs, it just look a little bit neater. But I don't really want to go much further to the edge here, because then obviously I start losing height. So yeah, I just thought I'd bring you up to speed and get my hole cutter on this and then get cutting. So here we go, I've got my hole cutting bit. I'm not going to go very to the edge here, I'm just going to go slightly in, because again it dips out and I don't want to lose the height. And I can always curve this more with my jigsaw when I get going. So here goes nothing. Make sure that's roughly central. Whoa, that went through easily. One done.
Like it's snowing.
It does. Yeah, I suppose it's a good point, Emily. You've got to make sure there's going to be a lot of swarf and stuff that's cool here, so just want to make sure that we minimise that as much as we can. So on to the next one. Right, so now I've drilled all the 4 holes, going to get my jigsaw on. I've just used a metal blade. I've not cut this sort of material before. Yeah, let's go for it. I'm going to cut along my old line first, just so I get a feel for how it cuts, and then I'll just start doing my actual cut. But I've put some goggles on, safety first. Safety
first before you do it.
Safety is #1 priority. Let's give it a go. Really easily, doesn't it? So let's get cracking. So there we are, all done. Actually was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Corners aren't too bad, didn't go too wonky. One of my koi tuber idols, Eden Koi, always says this part is groundworks, not cookery. So I took that attitude towards it. As you can see, it's got loads of PVA glue in there to clean out.
That's gonna be fun.
That's your job. But as you can see, it's not really sticking to the edges, so I'm going to give this a good kick and a wash, and hopefully that'll all come off nice and easily. It has kept some rigidity, keeping the top in, it's not too floppy. So all in, I'm quite pleased with that. So using the jigsaw, actually, one thing to note, it hasn't really created much swarf on the edges. It's a really nice,
Clean cut.
it's a very clean cut actually. Some of the other tanks that I've seen people do, they've left really jagged and sharp edges they've then had to go and clean up, but that jigsaw blade, the metal one, has actually done a nice clean cut, and there's only a couple of little where I joined cuts here, for example, that I need to, sorry, try and get that to focus, sort out, but nothing too drastic at all. So yeah, happy with that. Oh, a bit close. Yes. Right, so it's got a thin layer of PVA glue that's dried around pretty much the whole of the inside of the tank. So I've scraped out as much of this as I can because it's pretty flaky really, but I think what I'm going to give it a sweep out, get all that big bits out, give it a pressure wash out, and then I think I'm just going to fill it to the brim and let it soak, and then peel it off then, because it's going to take me ages otherwise. So bit of a setback, not quite what I was hoping or expecting. I was hoping it had been properly washed when it was still wet, but onwards and upwards. So I've got the pressure washer out, and you can see, like, I've got the bottle out. It literally, I tipped it over onto its side and it just pulled out. There's nothing holding it in there at all. So you can see what I was saying in my other video about the channel that's in the bottom of the crate to take the pipe. And if I just spin this round, you can see it's just rocking on there. So you might be able to put these on some sort of different sort of base, as long as you just leave that little ridge in the middle if you did want to lower the height. But like I said, I think if you take these bolts out here, you might need to trim some of the bars underneath, but then you should be able to utilise that tray, which is taking the bulk of the weight, albeit it has these bars. So anyway, something for you to think about. I'm going to get pressure washer in this bad boy and cleaning out that vent, and let's get it going.
Say no, got everything you need inside you. No doubt about it, no one else I know can fight and laugh and cry like you do.
So I hope you enjoyed that little time lapse. Got most of it out. I'm quite pleased, better than I thought. There are still some bits of residue, mainly around the top here. But I just need to now get onto those bits with a scraper, and then I think I'll give it a good overnight soak and then another blast. But yeah, as you can see, the vast majority of it's come out, and what's useful is I can see the bits where it hasn't from the outside as well as the inside. So I'm going to get scraping and then get it put back together. You're going to give me a hand, aren't you?
Yes.
Wow. Right, so I've just spent a good 30-40 minutes on my knees scrubbing to get all of this off. So I'm going to give it another blast and a soak. There is still a small thin layer of PVA on some bits, so I just need to soak it, I think. So word of caution, if you're going to buy one of these, try and avoid one that's had glue in it. Just one thing, my pressure washer has got this nozzle on it that points out like a needle spray that then spins around in circles. I'll show you what I mean, hang on, look. It's difficult to see, but see that? And it creates a high pressure nozzle. If I do it on the tile, you'll see. Hang on, I need 2 hands. Like these circles. So what that means is it gives really, really high pressure on a very small area. That would not have got any of that PVA glue off without that attachment on it. So quite a few have these, but some pressure washers have the ones that just come out in a fan. I don't think that would have done that as good. So just a point to remember, if it's got a residue like that in it, you'll need one of those nozzles on your pressure washers to get it off. Tank's nearly full. I'm going to leave this for a couple of, well, probably at least 24 hours to soak. just to loosen up the last of the PVA glue from inside so I can more easily remove that. But it's good to see it with some water in it. I'm starting to get a bit of a feel for now what this is going to be like when it's a tank with fish in. Well, it's just started to overflow, so I've got to turn the tap off. But also it's been quite good to test that this valve here is actually watertight, which is good. I'm not getting any drips or leaks from there. So yeah, so far so good. So I'm just draining this now, having soaked it for a week, and you can see where I've soaked it, the glue that was stuck is now showing up a lot easier, so I can get that off, give it a good scrape and a scrub, get this done. This is hard work. Getting there. I've also got this wire brush, which is amazing for getting off some of the bits that I can't get off with the scraper. There we go. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Well, that was a mission, but it's finally clean. Gave it a good scrub out afterwards, but yeah, managed to get all of that nasty glue off and give it a really good clean. So now we're ready to put on the cladding. Job for tomorrow.